Now, I'm sure you've all heard that quote where it's like history will always repeat itself, that kind of thing. And right now, waking up this morning, I'm having a deja vu type of moment where I'm like thinking, I'm like, have I been here before? Have I seen something like this? And I know we all remember way back when Trump didn't re-win the election. And the country was pretty much in havoc, chaos, whatever you want to call it. People was storming the Capitol building with all types of weird outfits and stuff like that going on. Something that you wouldn't expect in America, 10, 20 years ago, but now it just sounds like a normal old day in America. Well, we're not talking about America today. Today we are talking about Brazil. And it seems that Brazil's Congress has been stormed in some type of similar fashion. I like to go through these with you guys, so I haven't read it or looked into it myself. But let's just kind of see what's going on with Brazil. It's hot news right now. Let's see why this is going on, what happened, if anybody, lost their lives or just any news pertaining to this. Because, these can be real dangerous situations. I'm not sure how many people lost their lives when there was, the whole Congress thing, but I definitely saw, a lady get shot or something like that, and I don't think she's with us today. But like, comment, subscribe for more daily news type of content. I'm not going to hold you up, so let's just go ahead and get into this article. Okay, so it says here, a cowardly and vile attack. Over 400 arrested. Wow, that's a lot of people. Arrested after Bolsonaro supporters storm Brazil's Congress. And I guess this is a picture of them outside of there with their flags, waving that nice green Brazilian flag. Now it says world leaders condemned what they described as a cowardly and vile attack after thousands of supporters from former Brazilian president Jair Bolsonaro, whatever that name is, what I'm saying, invaded the country's Congress, the Supreme Court, and the presidential palace. So they were everywhere. They were in Congress, they was in the Supreme Court, they were hitting all three branches of government. Now it says on an extraordinary day of political violence, rioters on Sunday ransacked Brazil's three branches of power as part of a failed attempt to overthrow President Luiz Lula da Silva's week-old government. So they actually were coming in with the intent of a hostile takeover, what I'm saying, that kind of thing. We were kind of, in the United States, I guess we were mad, but I don't think anybody actually thought that they were going to go into the White House and actually overthrow the president, or anything like that. I think it was just kind of like anger, but it sounds like they came in here with a straight plan and a mission, what I'm saying. So let's see what happened. It says observers of the attack swiftly drew comparisons between the chaos in Brasilia and the January 6th invasion of the U.S. Capitol by supporters of former President Donald Trump 2 years ago. Wow, that was 2 years ago now. That's insane. I would have thought that was last year. But we have had Sleepy Joe in office for a minute, so maybe not. Now it says Brazil's security forces have regained control of the country's political institutions, and Brasilia Governor Ibanez Rocha said that more than 400 people have been arrested as of Sunday evening. So if only 400 were, if 400, that's not only, if 400 people were arrested, that means that how many people participated? You guys know what I mean? Like when there's riots and stuff, let's say there's 5,000 people in a riot or something, maybe like 10 to 50 will get arrested or something like that. But 400 arrested makes me question how many people were really out here attacking these government. Like an alley, Rocha, alley of Bolsonaro, I gotta get that right, guys, was later suspended for his post for security failings. It was definitely a failure of security there. Lula sealed a remarkable return to Brazil's presidency late last year, securing, oh, excuse me, I woke up, I had to get to the news, what I'm saying, of the runoff vote to defeat far-right incumbent Bolsonaro. Many of Bolsonaro's supporters refused to accept the result. However, political analysts have long feared a U.S.-style attack on the country's prominent government buildings. So political analysts have been kind of seeing this coming. Like, dang, so it seems like Brazil's dealing with a lot. If people have seen this, like, Yeah, we kind of foresee, the possible citizen attempt to overthrow the government. Like, I mean, if people are overseeing that months out, you definitely got some things that you got to look for as far as look into as far as how you're running your country now. Lula blames Bracero for encouraging the riot. Oh my God, today is one of those days. Saying there were several speeches by the former president to incite Sunday's attack. So it's also kind of like one of those things where, Trump was in the tweets and he was like, oh yeah, we're not going to stand for this. If you're a real American, then you'll storm the Capitol and commit treason. But it sounds like the same kind of thing. And Bolsonaro rejected that accusation and said whatever happened Sunday went beyond peaceful democratic protest. Okay, is this him right here? I'm assuming this is the Lula guy right here. Says a political analyst said Lula's victory marked the most symbolic shift in a political movement that has seen the region's right-wing governments replaced by leftist leaders. Now, it says world leaders and some of Brazil's regional neighbors condemned Sunday's attack on Brazil's Congress, the Supreme Court, and the presidential palace, and reaffirmed, oh my God, can I get some coffee? Can I get some coffee, please? Reaffirmed their support for Lula's administration. Now, they said Joe Biden, Sleepy Joe, which I'm kind of sleepy this morning, I guess, He said, I condemn the assault on democracy and the peaceful transfer of power in Brazil. Brazil's democratic institutions, jeez, today is interesting, have our full support, and the will of the Brazilian people must not be undermined. I look forward to working with Lula official. Chilean President Gabriel Boric described the attack on Brazil's institutions as a cowardly and vile attack on democracy. Meanwhile, Colombian President Gustavo Petro offered solidarity to Lula and the people of Brazil, saying fascism decides to strike. Petro called for an urgent meeting of the Organization of American States if it wants to continue live as an institution and apply the democratic charter. Oh my gosh. This video is literally me yawning, guys. Yawning and tearing up. But we are here to speak on the news. And I think this is very interesting. We're definitely going to have to start taking a look at Brazil now. Now, let's look at this. It says a stark difference to the U.S. Capitol attack. Jimena Blanco, head of Americas at Verisk Maplecroft, said that there are many similarities between the attack on the strategic sites in Brazil's capital and the January 6th invasion of the U.S. Capitol in 2021, and the movements of former President Donald Trump and former President Bolsonaro. But there's a stark difference here, he said, and that is the events in the U.S. happened before the new government took office, whereas in Brazil, we have a new government that was sworn in over a week ago, and so it's institutionally a very different situation. Yeah, I think it's interesting. This outrage didn't necessarily come right when the democracy or the Democrats came and took power, but it came a week later. So it's almost like the people really don't like it to the point where they accept it that it's there and they just couldn't do it anymore. They just couldn't do it. And it's interesting too because okay, I could see if this was in 6 months, a bunch of policies came out, people got put into office that maybe you didn't like, and then that kind of happened. Should I caption this sleepy stream? But you get what I'm saying, guys. There's a big difference between getting mad because your president is no longer the president and you go that same day, then kind of waiting a week. You know what I'm saying? It just seems kind of weird. Like I would say if the president made some kind of bad policy or something like that, then I can understand, a few months down the line, they're like, see, this is why we didn't want this, but waits a week and then decides to protest. It just seems weird. It's strange. Now, he said, now we do have a very fractured country. The question now is whether President Lula da Silva is able to deliver on his promise upon taking office that would be able to unify Brazil. Now, it says he was actually, this is interesting, he was jailed in 2017 in a sweeping graft investigation following a two-term 2003 to 2010 presidency. The 77-year-old former metal worker was released in 2019, and his criminal convictions were later annulled, paving the way for him to seek a return to office. So first I gotta say too, what's going on with all these, like, you know what I'm saying, presidents that got charges like running for office and stuff? I understand these charges were gone and stuff and everything like that, but are we now like getting into a type of culture where, you know, political prisoners or, you know, people who may have tax issues, you know what I'm saying, are all of a sudden being allowed to be into politics? I thought before, back in the day, you know, 10 years ago, you know, that it was like, okay, like if you're running for office, you kind of were expected to have like a squeaky clean, like, you know what I'm saying, type of thing. Like you couldn't even have, you know what I'm saying, like a little charge, like a petty theft or something like that, because that would just completely like ruin you in the eyes of the public and everything. And that just seems to start being a trend that I'm noticing nowadays. You know, obviously there's anomalies or whatever, you know, like Nelson Mandela, you know, was imprisoned and then came out and did his thing, you know what I'm saying, and everything like that. So obviously it happens, but you know, I just think that that's something that I kind of noticed, you know, especially within the U.S., is that it seemed that you had to really have a squeaky clean kind of record before, and now that's just not such a big thing. It's more about like more about like, I would say, social media politics and that kind of thing. So it's just something to consider. What do you guys think about this in general too? Let me know what you guys think about Brazil being overthrown, or the attempt to overthrow them. Do you guys think this is a good thing, a bad thing, you know, that kind of thing? Let me know if you guys think democracy will be good for Brazil, or do you guys think this is going to be like some type of turbulent war that's just going to start, you know, that same kind of thing that we see in a lot of these South American countries, you know, where really there's a republic and the Democrat tries to come in and then it becomes a whole thing and it starts getting violent, and really the only people who, you know, take real L's from this ends up being the people in the nation. So I want to know what you guys think about this. This was some pretty hot news. I'm sorry I kept yawning. I couldn't help myself, you know what I'm saying, and everything like that. But the news must get out. You know what I'm saying? The news must get out. So I hope you guys are having a great day and everything. I'm going to have to go and hit a nap, I guess, for an hour, get back to it, you know what I'm saying, and everything like that. And if you like business news, definitely like, comment, subscribe. You guys all have a great day. Have a better day than Brazil's having, for sure.